In our feature story segment today, I had planned to bring you a story looking back over the year 2014, but due to some illness in my family, I don't have that for you, but we will have it on the air in the near future. Instead, we look back today at the year 2012 in agriculture. It was a year marked by drought, but fortunately not in Mississippi. It was also a year that saw major victories by animal rights supporters regarding hog and egg production. Some would argue the drought in the Midwest and the Plains was the biggest story of 2012, but the story with the farthest reaching consequences may have concerned livestock production. 2012 may be looked upon in the future as a major tipping point. Under pressure from animal rights groups, major pork buyers and major pork suppliers announced various agreements that would end their production of swine housed in gestation crates. Gestation crates are metal enclosures used in intensive hog operations. Each pregnant sow is fed individually, and fighting for food between sows is eliminated. The crates, however, do not allow for much movement. Many restaurant chains, including McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Cracker Barrel, Hardee's, Sonic, and Denny's, announced they would phase out buying pork from pork producers who use gestation crates. Major pork producers, including Smithfield Foods, the nation's largest, Prestige, Hormel, and Kraft Foods, were among those who announced plans in 2012 to phase out the use of gestation crates. Kroger, the nation's largest grocery chain, and Safeway, the fifth largest, announced their plans to eliminate gestation crates from their supply chain. The way eggs are produced in the United States is also set to change. Major egg producers came to an agreement with the Humane Society of the United States to switch from conventional or so-called battery cages to enriched cages by the year 2029. The two agreed to sponsor the Egg Products Inspection Act of 2012, which is working its way through the Congress. The United Egg Producers, which includes Cal-Maine, said the joint legislative efforts were pursued to avoid disruption to interstate sales and to develop consistent national standards. Enriched cages have about twice the room per hen than battery cages. They also have different areas where the hens can perch, lay their eggs, and scratch. Livestock producers are concerned what else lies ahead in the future when the animal rights movement seeks to extend its gains. The drought was the national story that dominated the Ag News headlines in 2012. Characterized as the worst widespread drought since the 1950s, it hit the West, the Midwest, the Plains, Missouri, Arkansas, and north-central Georgia. The USDA estimates 80% of the nation's agricultural land and 60% of its farms were affected by the drought. 43% of the nation's farms were said to experience severe to extreme drought. Mississippi escaped the drought for the most part, although conditions were generally drier as you moved to the northwest. NASA says global temperatures for 2012 were the ninth warmest in 132 years of record-keeping. 2012 was the warmest year on record in the lower 48 states of the U.S., smashing the old record set in 1998. The Weather Channel says 34,000 record highs were set compared to 6,700 record lows. 9 of the warmest years recorded have taken place since the year 2000. Mississippi's row crop farmers had the best of both worlds, good yields and high prices due to the drought. Mississippi set another record for farm production value in 2012, $7.3 billion. Poultry continued its traditional dominance with $2.5 billion, 34% of all Mississippi's farm production value. High prices and high yields helped push Mississippi soybeans past forestry to second place with a record $1.16 billion in farm production value. Forestry posted $1 billion in farm production value, up almost 8% from 2011. Mississippi corn came in fourth with a record value of $891 million. Cotton moved down to fifth with $397 million in farm production value. Acres lost to corn production and low prices fueled the downward slide. Cattle and calves saw a 39% increase in 2012 to a record $329 million in farm production value. Farm-raised catfish fell to seventh, down 23% to $165 million. Competition from imports and high feed prices are still causing farmers to exit the business. Hay came in eighth with a new production value of $145 million, wheat ninth, $134 million, rice came in 10th with $130 million in farm production value. In other national news, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced in January its intentions to close 259 offices and laboratories nationwide. After hearings were held, 11 of that number came from Mississippi. The closings did put a tarnish on the USDA's 150th anniversary, which occurred in 2012. It was also the 150th anniversary of the Morrill Act, which established land-grant universities in the United States. Mississippi State University was one of the universities picked to honor the occasion in June at the Smithsonian Folklife Festival in Washington, D.C.
Even though less people are working directly in agriculture today, we still serve that mission as well as broaden the scope of our mission to include benefits to all of society as far as economic development, health, youth and families, natural resources.
Mississippi's peanut industry expanded in the state with the announcement that the Clint Williams Company of Oklahoma would open buying stations in Greenwood and Clarksdale. Birdsong Peanuts of Georgia invested $3 million in its existing buying station at Aberdeen. There are now 3 companies buying peanuts in Mississippi. The expansion caused Mississippi's peanut acreage to jump 350% to 52,000 in 2012. Average yield per acre was a record 4,400 pounds, with an overall state record crop of almost 216 million pounds. Mississippi soybean farmers harvested a record state average yield of 42 bushels per acre. They planted almost 2 million acres with an overall crop of 82.3 million bushels, worth a record value of more than $1 billion. Mississippi corn farmers harvested a record state average yield of 165 bushels per acre. They planted 820,000 acres for grain and harvested almost 132 million bushels. Mississippi growers were worried that their great corn crop might fall victim to Hurricane Isaac in late August. Farmers rushed to harvest as much as they could before it made landfall. Fortunately, the storm did not cause widespread damage. The first clouds from Hurricane Isaac began to move over Webster County, Mississippi, early Tuesday morning. Grower Stan Rogers of Gore Springs, however, began stepping up his corn harvest schedule several days ago because Hurricane Mean lost yield.
Said it's supposed to be here Wednesday, and we like about 200 acres. So we're working harder trying to get it out.
Expected high prices for corn and soybeans caused cotton acreage to go down in Mississippi in 2012. 470,000 acres were planted, down 25% from 2011. The state average yield was 970 pounds per acre, with a total crop of 950,000 bales, down 21%. Corn and soybeans also stole acres from Mississippi rice in 2012. Farmers harvested a respectable 7,100 pounds per acre in 2012, but they only planted 130,000 acres, the lowest in 35 years. Mississippi cattlemen set a new record for farm production value, $329 million. The drought in other areas and higher prices and a bigger state calf crop helped to set the record. Overall, the number of all cattle and calves declined to 910,000 head at the end of 2012, off 2% from a year earlier. High feed prices and imports hurt the Mississippi catfish industry in 2012. Water acres declined to 48,600, off 5% from 2011 and their lowest point since the peak in 2001. Mississippi continued to advance its reputation in next-generation biofuels. Kior announced in May that it had essentially completed its Columbus, Mississippi plant and would begin the process of bringing it online. Kior uses wood chips to create what it calls renewable crude oil. A plant 3 times the size of the Columbus one is planned for Natchez. A big event was celebrated in early October. Farm Week celebrated its 35th anniversary on the air. Farm Week's first broadcast took place October 3, 1977. More than 1,776 have followed. And of course, since that first aired, Kior has declared bankruptcy and has closed the Columbus plant, so we'll have to see what happens there.